Well, when Vanguard talks about Advisor Alpha, what we're really talking about is what's the value that advisors add to their clients, because that's obviously the key sort of criteria. I mean, we're familiar with the term of alpha being outperformance, but in the advisor world, and particularly as FOFA is implemented, we believe that a lot of advisors are having to sit down and have a hard look at their business model and actually where they seriously add value to clients and where perhaps their clients perceive or think they're going to add value that really is outside the advisor's control. So one of the key messages from Vanguard's perspective is that advisors who rely on investment product outperformance as their value proposition are really relying on something that's actually outside their control. And when you think about it from the advisor's point of view, are they really competing against sort of market performance numbers, or are they really competing against the advisor down the road?
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of the research and work with advisors that we've done through our US parent is that more and more advisors, they move towards fee for service. It's actually about getting the whole package of stuff together, not just relying on the promise of outperformance in the market. In some ways, that premise was always built on somewhat shifting sands, because if you think, go back 10, 15 years, advisors were sort of happy, I suppose, for clients to go away with the perception that the advice was almost free or low cost, and it was the investment selection that the advisor was really adding value in. They were going to help you pick products that would outperform things that you could pick yourself. And we all know that that really isn't where most of the value from the advice comes from. So I mean, we believe that advice is absolutely valuable, but clients ought to be the ones paying for it. So they ought to understand what it is they're getting, what they're paying for, and how they actually interact with their advisors. And we think we've seen a big shift. Certainly at Vanguard, we've run a whole series of workshops around portfolio construction. So several thousand advisors have been through those. And what we've got back at it is that good advisors were moving to fee for service regardless of FOFA. That was happening as an industry trend anywhere. We've seen it happen in the US without a FOFA. So as people move into more fee for service, that I think focuses people on just what it is that we actually do add the value in. And the research will tell you that about 80% of an advisor's value add to the client revolves around the asset allocation, the sort of estate planning, the insurance needs, the risk management, the profiling of the client, not the actual investment selection, which is probably about 20% of the value. So I think one of the hopefully good long-term benefits from FOFA will be that advisors will actually focus around where it is they really do add value and charge accordingly for it. A lot of it's around advisors having the confidence to say, this is where I add value. These are things that we can invest you in, but we can't control the performance of markets. You can't control the uncontrollable, but this is the bit where I can help you with. And part of it's about saying, well, as an advisor, if a client comes to an advisor, how do they do better with the advisor than what they would do on their own? Particularly relevant for SMSF clients, because they're obviously doing a lot of the investments themselves. So in some ways, the benchmark is not the S&P 300 or whatever it might be. It's actually about what the client would have done with their money. So in some ways, advisors, the most valuable thing advisor can do is to stop clients making dumb decisions, quick market timing, panic reactions to certain things. It's being that sort of behavioural coach where we think advisors can add a lot of alpha, but it also can be a difficult thing to charge for. So getting that proposition right, so explaining to people about why that's valuable, we think that's perhaps one of the challenges some advisors face. It's significant because they absolutely do work with accountants, but accountants have also got to grapple with the new limited licensing regime. So that in effect, they'll be coming in to the world of financial planners. I mean, they will be licensed in the same sort of way that the financial planners are today. They're all in the same database, effectively. So, in many ways, accountants are going to have to decide whether they want to stay in the SMSF world or hand it off to advisors. So I think there's a great opportunity there for financial planners to having referral arrangements, which many of them already do, but there's probably opportunities to make that a bit tighter. And there's opportunities for accountants to move into the licensed financial planning world and get serious about it, as opposed to it just being a sideline to their main business. Well, I think they're complementary. If you look at an SMSF trustees, they typically have a team of advisors, an accountant, a lawyer, an auditor usually, and a financial planner is somewhere there as well. So, I think the financial planning opportunity is clearly there, but it's about working with a group of other professionals, not just being the sole point of contact. With Vanguard, I mean, we're very much about long-term investing. We have a complete range of index funds. So they're really the tools that the advisor can use to implement. So it's not about people picking shares, trying to outperform that way. The advisor can actually use a sort of range of index funds to give people the asset allocation exposure they need. Mm-hmm. We know that asset allocation decision, probably the most valuable thing an advisor can do for its client, but it's also probably the most 80-85% of the portfolio's return comes from that asset allocation decision, which the advisor absolutely owns. So Vanguard's job is to give advisors the tools to ensure that their investors get a great outcome. And a big part of that proposition is around, yes, it's about market return, but it's also having very, very low costs. So you can lower the cost to the end client at the same time as your own business is successfully charging on a fee-for-service model.